Hello, seekers of wisdom. Today we dive into the enlightening world of Buddhist parables. These ancient tales, brimming with profound wisdom, have been passed down through generations, serving as a guiding light on the path to enlightenment. Parables in Buddhism play a vital role, simplifying and distilling complex teachings into stories that are both understandable and relatable. They provide a bridge, connecting the abstract concepts of Buddhism to the tangible realities of everyday life. Through these parables, we gain a deeper understanding of the principles of Buddhism, such as impermanence, suffering, and the path towards liberation. They're not just stories, but powerful tools of teaching, offering us a mirror to reflect upon our own lives and actions. One such parable that holds a profound message, a tale that stirs the soul and awakens the mind, is the parable of the mustard seed. The parable of the mustard seed is a tale of a grieving mother called Kisa Gotami. In the ancient city of Savatthi, there lived a woman named Kisa Gotami. She was from a very poor family but was married into a wealthy one. Her life took a turn for the better, and joy filled her days with the birth of her only son. However, as fate would have it, her happiness was short-lived. Her son, still a toddler, fell ill and passed away. Stricken with grief, Kisa Gotami was unable to accept her son's death. Kisa Gotami, clutching her lifeless child, wandered the streets, asking anyone and everyone she came across for a cure to bring her son back to life. The townspeople could offer her no help, and many thought she had lost her mind. However, one insightful man suggested she seek the advice of the Buddha. With hope in her heart, Kisa Gotami carried her son to the Buddha and pleaded with him to restore her son's life. The Buddha, looking at her with compassion, told her he could help her, but he required a simple ingredient for his cure: a mustard seed. But this was no ordinary mustard seed. It must come from a house where no one had died. With renewed hope, Kisa Gotami went from house to house in search of this special mustard seed. But to her surprise, she could not find a single home that had not been touched by death. Every household had experienced the loss of a loved one. Gradually, the reality of life's impermanence dawned on Kisa Gotami. She realized that death is a universal truth, an inevitable end to the journey of life. Returning to the Buddha, Kisa Gotami understood that her suffering was not unique, but a part of the human condition. She left her child's lifeless body in the forest, returned to the Buddha, and eventually became one of his most devout followers. The Buddha asked Kisa Gotami to bring a mustard seed from a house that had not known death, which she could not find. The quest of Kisa Gotami seems simple, but it holds a deep message. In the heart of the parable, we find Kisa Gotami, a grieving mother, on a seemingly straightforward mission. She was tasked to find a single mustard seed from a household untouched by death. A simple task, right? But as she embarked on her journey, she discovered a profound truth. She couldn't find a home that hadn't experienced the sting of mortality. Each doorstep she knocked on opened to reveal stories of loss and grief, much like her own. This futile search is not just a story of a mother's desperation, but a mirror reflecting the universal truth of mortality. The mustard seed, in its seeming insignificance, becomes a symbol of the commonality of death. It shows us that death is not an isolated incident that happens to a select few, but a universal truth that touches every household, every life. In her quest for a mustard seed, Kisa Gotami traveled from door to door, from story to story, and with each interaction, she began to realize that she wasn't alone in her suffering. Her grief, while deeply personal and utterly heartbreaking, was not unique. Each home had its own tale of loss, its own encounter with death. Through this journey, Kisa Gotami was slowly stripped of her isolation. She began to see her pain not as a solitary burden, but as a shared human experience. And in this realization, she found a sense of connection, a sense of belonging in the world of shared suffering. The parable of the mustard seed thus encapsulates a profound Buddhist teaching, that death is not an aberration, but an integral part of life. It is not something to be feared or avoided, but understood and accepted. The quest of Kisa Gotami, therefore, was not so much about finding a mustard seed, but about understanding the fundamental nature of life and death. Through her journey, Kisa Gotami learns that death is a part of life that everyone must face. The parable of the mustard seed teaches us many things. This simple story, often told within the confines of Buddhist teachings, offers profound insights that, when applied, can significantly change our perception of life and death. And the first insight? The acceptance of death as a part of life. This parable teaches us that death is not an end, but rather a transition, a part of the natural cycle of life. It is as inevitable as the sun setting at the end of the day or the leaves falling from the trees in autumn. When we understand this, we can begin to accept death, not as a dreaded enemy to avoid, but as a companion on our journey, reminding us to live fully and love deeply. The second lesson from the parable of the mustard seed is the impermanence of all things. The mustard seed, small and seemingly insignificant, grows into a mighty tree, providing shelter and sustenance. Yet, even this mighty tree is not immune to the passing of time. It too will eventually wither and die. This is the nature of all things. They arise, they exist for a time, and then they pass away. Recognizing this impermanence helps us to appreciate the present moment, and not to cling to things or experiences, knowing they are transient. Lastly, the parable reveals the shared human experience of loss and grief. When the woman from the story seeks a mustard seed from a home untouched by death, she finds that such a home does not exist. This is a reminder that suffering, loss, and grief are universal experiences. We are not alone in our pain. This understanding can foster a deep sense of compassion and interconnectedness with others. In conclusion, the parable of the mustard seed is not just a story, but a beacon of wisdom guiding us through life's inevitable challenges. These teachings help us to understand and cope with the inevitable reality of death. They invite us to live fully, love deeply, and navigate our human journey with grace and wisdom. But how do we apply these teachings to our daily lives? Let's start by considering the underlying theme of the parable of the mustard seed, the inevitability of death and the importance of accepting it. The parable urges us to understand that death is a natural part of life, something that we all must face. It's not about becoming morbid or living in fear, but about embracing the truth of our mortality. This acceptance can free us from the fear of death, allowing us to live more fully in the present moment. We can put this acceptance into practice by acknowledging our mortality in our daily lives. This might mean contemplating our own death, perhaps through meditation, or simply by reflecting on our existence. It might mean having conversations about death with our loved ones, discussing our wishes and fears. It might mean visiting a cemetery or attending a funeral, not to mourn, but to remind ourselves of the cycle of life and death. The second profound lesson from the parable is the value of empathy and understanding towards others who are grieving. In the parable, Kisa Gotami's grief is so overwhelming that she's unable to accept her son's death. It's only when she sees the universality of death, when she understands that she's not alone in her suffering, that she begins to heal. We can apply this teaching by offering our empathy and understanding to those around us who are grieving. We can listen to their stories, share in their sorrow, and remind them that they're not alone. We can be there for them, not with solutions or advice, but with a compassionate presence that acknowledges their pain and offers comfort. By integrating these teachings into our daily lives, we can cultivate a deeper understanding of the nature of life and death. We can learn to face our own mortality with acceptance and courage, and to support others in their grief with empathy and understanding. By understanding these teachings, we can approach life and death with wisdom and compassion. The parable of the mustard seed, like all Buddhist parables, offers us a way to better understand our lives and the world around us. We've journeyed through its narrative, a tale of a grieving mother and a tiny seed. We've unpacked its layers, revealing the profound truths hidden within. This parable teaches us about impermanence, the universal nature of suffering, and the possibility of healing. It reminds us that even in our deepest sorrows, we are not alone. Every life, like every seed, holds within it the potential for growth and transformation. We've also explored how these teachings can be applied in our daily lives, how understanding impermanence can help us accept change, how acknowledging suffering can foster compassion, and how embracing our potential for growth can lead to personal evolution. Thank you for joining us on this journey of understanding. Until next time, may you find peace and wisdom in your journey of life.